Hello, everyone. So my name is Misitia. I'm a newly published author. So this is my debut novel, The Eucalyptus Tree. So I'm originally from Madagascar. And every time I say that, people would tell me, I don't think I've ever met anyone from Madagascar, or I know nothing about Madagascar. Well, this is your answer. This book covers many the political issues in Madagascar. It gives you cultural insights. It's enriched with Malagasy proverbs as well. It follows two characters. So one, Razaf, is in Madagascar fighting for his dreams. And then 5,600 miles away, which is in London, there's Hira, who will tell you as well how she sees London through Madagascan eyes. So the chapters goes in the point of view of Razaf and in the point of view of Hira. So it's a poignant tale of resilience, family, and a fight to break free from a cycle of struggles set in a place rarely explored in fiction. Enriched with Malagasy proverbs and cultural insights, this story offers a unique window into Madagascar like you've never seen it before. So that's the blurb, the end of the blurb. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the first chapter, which is the point of view of Razaf, set in 1982. It's inspired by historical events, but obviously it's still a work of fiction. Each chapter starts with a Malagasy proverb that are then obviously translated in English, because otherwise it makes no sense for people. So I have some Malagasy. So we do say Malagasy, not Madagascan officially. So I also have some Malagasy words in here that you will just, you will hear it from me. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Alo mandatiande tuzai manektiulas. Translation: it's better to refuse to go than to accept not to go. This is it. This moment is why I've been counting down the days until I'm 18. Mid-August, usual airport crowds are here. It's when people go abroad to begin their school year in September. They're either really good students, and all these valuable brains leaving the country is why it will stay poor, or they're well off, like the offspring of politicians and tycoons. I'm the latter, unfortunately. I'm one of those kids who rely entirely on their family's wealth rather than any intellectual prowess, without a shred of shame as well. I've trodden these same corridors for 5 consecutive years, bidding farewell to each of my 5 brothers, embarking on their journeys to France. But today, I'm not here as an escort. I'm the 6th child, and it's finally my turn to go. My little brother Dazo is up next year. I don't know how my parents did it, but they orchestrated this perfectly. Their sons jetting off one after the other at 18 to study abroad. I know the procedure by heart now. Arrive 2 hours early, line up, checking with passport, plane ticket, blah, blah, blah. It's boring, really. The 2-hour early part was always confusing. The entire population of Madagascar is notorious for its tardiness. Really, we're late for everything. When a meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m., it's understood by all involved that nobody will actually arrive until 11 a.m. It's like an unspoken agreement. We even have a word for it, the futongas, which means the Malagasy time. But at the airport, everybody's early, which is kind of pathetic. We're just all itching to get out of this dump. Some get to escape, others aren't that lucky. I thought I was one of the lucky ones. My father is a powerful man, works in finance, access to money, rich, always wears a suit and tie, holds a leather briefcase containing top secret files, as all briefcases do, has 7 children, all boys, which appears to be an important detail to some people. Grey hair, dark skin, but he insisted on pointing out to his children and anyone asking, not that anyone ever asked, a noble. This, in Madagascar, means black people not descended from slaves, but from royals. If his power was usually a good thing, this time it isn't. It's simple math. Important and powerful people equal important and powerful enemies. I sense trouble when the security guard singles out my father and me in the queue, treating us more like suspects than the esteemed guests we usually were. Back when I accompanied my brothers, it was like a red carpet treatment whenever they spotted my father and his briefcase. We'd be ushered through the line in no time. There is no red carpet treatment for me, though. Criminal, more like. The Ministry of Finance has ordered an investigation against your father regarding a suspicion of money laundering. To say I'm confused would be the understatement of the year. Next thing I know, the security guards take my father away to one of their interrogation rooms, I presume. Before he disappears, he manages to look at me and mouth, "Everything will be okay." I should say, "Yes, don't worry, I'll take care of Mom and Dazo," seeing as I'm the man of the family at this particular moment. Instead, I choose to blurt out from the depth of my frustration and confusion, "What the fuck, Dad?" My mom, Dazo, and I stand outside the airport looking like three lost puppies. A few minutes pass, I have no idea how many, it might have been hours actually, before someone comes to talk to us. "I'm sorry," the security guard says. "I have to confiscate your passports. Your family is prohibited from leaving the territory until the end of the investigation." And I didn't know it yet, but I never left to study abroad. My dad was pronounced guilty. There was no prison time, but he was prohibited from exercising his functions for the foreseeable future. That's all the expensive lawyers could do. A battle against the state is often a losing battle. It all goes downhill from here. We were loaded, no exaggeration. My dad bought a massive villa in the capital, Antananarivo. I mean, massive was what you needed anyway when you had 7 children. And more. My parents also raised many of my cousins because their own parents lived in the countryside and couldn't afford accommodation while their children attended school in the big city. This was in the 1970s, when the house was probably the only one within a 5-mile radius in the Malagasy neighborhood. There was only one church nearby. The villa was surrounded by forests and wild vegetation, which made it stand out even more. However, what truly made the house unique was the massive eucalyptus tree situated right in the center of the garden, with its distinctive blue-green leaves. It was not exactly practical having it there. We had to go around it every time we parked the cars, rode our bikes, or ran around with the dogs, but no one ever wanted to cut it down, so there it stays, just towering over everything. The tree was so tall that it could be seen from a mile away. In fact, the bus stop a few meters from our house was nicknamed Eucalyptus because people would often ask to be dropped off by the eucalyptus when they didn't know the actual name of the stop. And since eucalyptus leaves are used as a natural remedy for cold, we get people knocking on our gate all the time asking for some, like we didn't get enough attention already thanks to my dad's job and money. As you explore the interior of the house, you would find a library with floor-to-ceiling bookcases filled with encyclopedias, classic novels, and books about astronomy. Only rich people had that, and I never read any of those books. At least I never had, but then again, I was not exactly a great example of an intellectual. A marble fireplace and a dining room with a long and yet still explainable oak table. Looking back, it's almost like we wanted to attract problems. My dad openly supported the opposition party and occasionally worked for them. I don't know much about politics, just as much as I know about my dad's real job, so I can't actually even tell whether he's innocent. However, the current president would end up fleeing the country in the 90s after being accused of crimes against humanity, murder, and detention of any suspected political opponent. So, I guess supporting the opposition was at least one innocent thing my father had done. We should have seen all of this coming. It wouldn't have been the first time the government had tried something against my big man of a father. We were too comfortable in our indecently big house, so we got a call one sunny Saturday morning. "You've been assigned to a new position in Tuliar," said the man on the other end of the line. When this sort of call came in, there was no way to negotiate, which is why it was never followed by the "Are you happy with that?" type of question we got when consenting to the GP prescribing the antibiotic. We were to move to the south of Madagascar, where our house was being transformed into a gendarmerie. Again, this was not our choice. This in itself was not a big deal. We moved into a state-owned house, just a bit smaller, and the south of Madagascar has beautiful beaches. For any other teenager, moving to the opposite corner of the map would be dramatic, as it means saying goodbye to their friends. Not for me, with my army of brothers and cousins. But put into context, it just meant they, whoever they were, didn't want us in Antananarivo anymore because we were too big. Again, whatever that meant. Of course, that didn't faze my dad. Starting from smaller doesn't scare a man who started from zero. He comes from a poor family and often tells us that he got where he is thanks to nothing more than a guava he'd picked from a tree. He renovated the entire house into the yard, transforming it into yet another mansion, and opened the largest grocery store in town and a pret-a-porter boutique for my mom to manage. The man excelled at everything. Even at church, he was greatly appreciated for being their best and most generous organist. Yes, he's a great musician too. My brothers and I followed in his footsteps when it came to music. All 7 of us are self-taught musicians, but instead of playing liturgical music, we were into Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, and Elvis Presley. To add another layer of extravagance, and my dad gave us a whole set of musical instruments at our beach house in Tuliar just a few days after we moved in. The delivery of the instruments was like the event of the century for the locals. In that part of the country, a cow was considered the most valuable gift to offer someone. As you may have gathered, my family wasn't exactly subtle. We seemed to like the attention. 3 years in, I made new friends at my school, the church, the grocery store, and the boutique. Everyone in my new town recognized me. Sometimes mistook me for another brother, but never mind. To be fair, we all looked the same, and with only 1 year's difference between each, age was never an element of distinction, except maybe between the first and the last brother. We even liked and disliked the same things. For instance, we all preferred fatty meat to lean meat and drank our coffee black, no sugar or milk. This is odd because we were rarely all together. Dazo and I were an inseparable duo, but we were often separated from the 5 others. We only ever came together when we played music. That's also when it was easier to tell us apart, as our instruments would give us away. From the eldest to the youngest, it went number 1 on the percussion, number 2 on the piano, number 3 on the trumpet, number 4 on the solo guitar, number 5 on the accompanying guitar, number 6, me, on the drums, and number 7 on the bass guitar. Outside of music and school, my teenage years were spent on the beach or a football field, smoking and drinking, or in the car driving my friends around town illegally, which was completely fine because the police were my parents' friend and worshipped my father. I thought that was the closest thing one could come to being a celebrity. Life in Tulia was undoubtedly the best chapter of my teenage year. We lived like local celebrities, enjoying popularity and friendship without any of the drama that came with actual fame. Nearly everyone in town was a friend of ours. Tulia itself is stunningly beautiful, located on the southwest coast of Madagascar, roughly 560 miles from Antananarivo. The 20-hour drive between the capital and Tulia is long but scenic, on one of Madagascar's best roads, straight, smooth, and relatively traffic-free. Along the way, tourists often stop at Isaudu National Park, an expansive 315 square mile area of stunning plains and dramatic canyons. Close by is Ilagak, famous for its sapphire mines. Upon arriving in Tulia, we can find breathtaking beaches and warm, welcoming locals. And that nice life is probably why I never questioned what my father did or didn't do, as long as he paid for what I had. Thank you.
Go for it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I didn't actually expect to be voted at all, so I'm going to read chapter 7, which is still Razaf's point of view, just because I feel like you guys just want to hear more about Madagascar. And because it's 5 minutes, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just it gives a little bit more context about what the cultures in Madagascar look like. All right, so this is 1988. For context, it's when his mother kind of saves everyone by finding a job after they've lost everything. Mita Betslan Mamb. In a river full of crocodiles, we are safest when we cross together. My mom is great at what she does. She earns more in 2 weeks than Dazo and I did together in a month. She initially assisted Mrs. Bako with pillowcase orders, but soon attracted her own clientele through word of mouth. The demand is high, so there's enough work for both of them. There's no competition. You'd be surprised how often people redecorate their homes and need new pillowcases or curtains. People also seem to need new outfits for every major event in their lives, such as baptism, birthdays, weddings, and, of course, engagement parties. Now, you need to understand what engagement parties are like in Madagascar. They are just as, if not more, important than actual weddings here. We call it vudyunj, which literally means the sheep's butt, possibly the worst name for a ceremony that's supposed to mark the union of 2 people in love. But the engagement isn't just about the couple anyway, it's about the 2 families joining together. Traditionally, the groom's family would present a sheep's rump to the bride's family as a symbol of respect for the elders. Over time, this custom evolved, and they now offer money instead. Now, I'm not sure if it's much better. The entire ceremony revolves around speeches known as kabar, which can last for hours. These speeches are all about praising the values and qualities of each family. Ultimately, the groom's family is trying to convince the bride's family to join them. When this is followed by a monetary gift, it can feel uncomfortably close to negotiating a price for the bride. So in a way, the sheep's rump doesn't seem quite as appalling anymore. But the true meaning behind offering gifts during the voodoo ceremony, whether it's a sheep's rump or money, is rooted in tradition. The bride is expected to leave her family after the wedding, and the gifts are a symbolic way to compensate her family for her absence. It's a bit like a reverse story. Over time, people have got creative with this tradition. Some offer one of every note and coin in Madagascar, from Aria 10 to Aria 5000. This symbolizes that the groom's family offers everything they have, from the smallest to the largest fortune to the bride's family. No couple is really married without having completed the voodoo first, and that's why engagement party dresses are our biggest money maker. Another busy time for mom is Madagascar's circumcision season in winter. The belief that wounds heal quickly in cooler weather leads many to choose the months of July through October for the procedure. Circumcision is a significant tradition in my country too, a rite of passage into manhood. During the ceremony, the little boy wears what we call a malabar. The malabar is a loose-fitting, knee-length tunic made from soft, breathable fabric to keep the boy comfortable during recovery. It's often decorated with playful patterns, such as animal, toys, or nature motifs, adding a touch of joy to an otherwise solemn occasion. During this season, my mom makes dozens of malabar each month. My mom's business turns out to be highly lucrative, and I've noticed that she genuinely enjoys it. I, on the other hand, haven't done anything remotely productive in the 2 years since I've stopped selling junk. You'd think I've used that time to focus on a career, but nope. Instead, I've been playing music in the basement and, unfortunately, drinking. I regret picking up that glass of rum Dazo stole from my dad 2 years ago. Back then, I had no idea it would end up owning me. I've always drunk, but it was only for fun when I was younger. Just friends enjoying beers, nothing out of the ordinary. Now, alcohol is like an old friend who started as a good company, but slowly overstayed their welcome. The truth is, right now, drinking seems to have more benefits than not drinking. Since I started stronger alcohol, I've been able to connect with my dad more because we ended up drinking together. Dazo and I stopped sneaking his rum and just started sharing it with him. He didn't even blink, just raised his glass and drank with us. So now we talk. Not about anything meaningful, but I'll take it. At least we're communicating. Another upside to alcohol is that it helps me forget. No, it doesn't solve my problems, but it sure dulls them for a while. So I keep drinking, mostly in the evenings, in the basement studio with Dazo, out on the porch with my dad, and alone in my bedroom. It's become a routine, like brushing my teeth. Dad spends a lot of time on that porch. The neighbors call him the wolf of the city because of that. The porch sits deeper inside the yard, but when he opens the gate facing the road, he has a clear view of everything outside, like a wolf watching over his territory. The cars, the buses, the pedestrians. And everyone can see him too. When they pass by, they always take a moment to stare at our house, at the huge tree in the yard, and the quiet, mysterious man sitting on the porch. Even at night, he's still out there, alone in the dark, with only the shadows cast by the moonlight and his thoughts. A man left alone with his thoughts, that's a dangerous thing. No wonder he drinks until he passes out. That said, my dad is still the intelligent man I used to know and idolize. Tonight's conversation proves that. It's just the two of us. As I sit next to him on the cold wooden bench on the porch, a glass of white rum in my hand, I casually remind him that tomorrow is my 24th birthday. I mention how fast time has flown, how it's already been 6 whole years since everything changed. I don't mean to stir up painful memories, but the alcohol loosens my tongue, and it just slips out. He offers a simple correction. You're wrong. For a moment, I wonder if he's lost his mind. You're actually entering the 25th year of your life, he adds. I blink, confused. The year you were born was your first year on Earth. When you celebrate your first birthday, you're actually entering your second year. So we shouldn't celebrate that you turned 1, but rather that you've completed your first year and are entering your second year. Basically, you're 2 on what people think is your first birthday, and so on, he explained. Am I drunk, or does that make sense? We stare at each other for a second, then burst into laughter. At that moment, I realize he is still so wise, not completely lost like I'd feared. Maybe he just needed someone to talk to. Thank you.